Welcome to sunny South Florida, and today we're going to discuss self-sufficient off-grid catamarans. This is a 2016 Leopard 44 named Xanadu, priced at $590,000. It was originally in charter and then modified to be totally off-grid. Now, in general, 85% of all catamarans that are sold new go into charter in their first 5 years. And these charter cats don't have off-grid components because the typical charter yacht is based on a dock with electricity and water. When they come in from charter, they just plug into the shore power. They use dockside water, and they equip them very simply because, of course, the goal here is to make money and not, overspend on components that don't make a difference. To go off-grid, you have to have some extra components that I'm going to cover now. So what was added to this yacht is 1,465 watts of solar panels. And this was, I believe, added in St. Martin. Now remember, St. Martin on the Dutch side is a tax-free zone. And so you get the cheapest prices in the Caribbean there. And when we go up close, we'll look at the welds, and they did a really good job on this stainless steel welding. It looks factory installed. It's a thing of beauty, actually. And this mounting is the best. I mean, it's strong, it's stainless steel, and you can save some money by going with powder-coated aluminum, which they do here in South Florida. There's 2 or 3 contractors here in Fort Lauderdale that'll do either stainless steel or powder-coated aluminum. Powder-coated aluminum is lighter in weight, which of course you generally want because you don't want to have a lot of weight in the ends. Catamarans are very weight sensitive, so that's why they always have a rib type dinghy on the back, and you're advised to keep the weight out of the ends. This frame, the way this was done, I believe this frame alone cost $7,000, and then the solar panels at the time with the installation costs and controllers were another $7,000. So that was a $14,000 installation. If you had powder-coated aluminum, this could be kept under $10,000. So it all depends on whether you want a Rolls-Royce or a F-150. Okay, we also added 600 amp hours of lithium-ion batteries and soft start Dometic air conditioners. So they could run air conditioning all night in one stateroom, okay? This is a couple that own this. For a family, you would have to probably spend more money and get more capacity, but for them, it worked just fine. And I think in 10 years, you're going to see many, many, many more boats get rid of their diesel generators and go to something more passive like solar and or wind. It's because generators are dirty. They're noisy. They're smelly. Like when there's no wind, like you see there's not much wind today. If you're in an anchorage running your generator and all that smoke's coming out on your neighbor, they're not going to be happy about that. So a solar system makes a lot of sense. To make fresh water, they added a Seawater Pro, makes 40 gallons an hour, and this will fill the 3 water tanks in about 90 minutes. We'll show you what that looks like. And they said they never ran out of water in the couple of years that they cruised. I like the Seawater Pro, especially because you can get any replacement part at any Ace hardware store. And Ace doesn't charge an arm and a leg like some of these yacht vendors do. And Ace hardware are all around the place, in the Caribbean and the Pacific. I think they're even expanding to Europe now. These Seawater Pro, they got a little extra feature, the auto flush, that reduces maintenance and such. So that was, I believe, around $4,000 if you install it yourself. All right. Now they also have a diesel generator as a backup. I think it's a Northern Lights 6kW. It was on the boat before. And these components I just mentioned are what most cruisers want as a bare minimum to go off grid, because you can go anchor somewhere, live for free, and the sun is going to power up everything you need to live, especially if you got like a Starlink system. Now, you may not need some of the other items on this yacht, but let's go through some of them. Okay, they added a pirate light security system. It has motion detection switches in the aft parts of the boat, so if anybody walks on the boat when they're set, you know, it'll trip a bunch of lights, and you can have a siren hooked up to it also. Or if you're anchored in a crowded anchorage, you know, like Georgetown, Exuma, or Newport, Rhode Island, and you're coming back from dinner and you're dinghy and there's 200 boats anchored out there, you may have trouble finding your boat unless you have this system, which has 2 remote clickers. You can give one to the wife, one to you, and you can click the lights on and off from 200 yards. Nice thing to have. I've lost boats several times after a few wines and dinner and coming back in a crowded anchorage. They also added weather radar with Doppler, which is a nice thing to have, and you can use the radar to see other vessels at night or in heavy rain. They also added a masthead camera. It's kind of hard to see up top, and this thing will pan 360 degrees, and he oftentimes keeps it aimed down at the side of the boat opposite the helm station, which is offset, so that he can see how much distance he has between the dock and the boat as he's approaching a docking situation. Nice thing to have. They added a 5G cellular antenna somewhere back there. Oh yeah, it's back on the solar panel bracket. And that has an amplifier that extends the range to 32 miles offshore. They run Google Fi off of this, which is a nice thing to have. I've traveled with people that have Google Fi phones, and they seem to it seems to hunt down the best, strongest connections wherever you are, and it was a nice thing to have. They also have a full Iridium Go package with PAP-wave antennas. This is $10,000 they spent for all of this, so they're connected everywhere. Now, Starlink is a lot cheaper now. There are some limitations with Starlink that you don't have with Iridium, but it's still really the most cost-effective, best thing going. They also have AIS, full send and receive, and this has a dual electrical system. It originally was 220 volt, and they added some 110 volt legs so that they can plug into the dock here, which they are plugged in at the moment, and it's a nice thing to have. Don't be too shy about buying a 220 volt boat if you're going to cruise around the Caribbean, because you know there's more 220 down there than 110. And they bought a portable freezer that they really like. What a lot of people do that are cruising the Bahamas, they'll provision up here, they'll freeze a lot of meat, because in the Bahamas, meat's pretty expensive, but fish, you can get tons of fish anytime you want over there. They also added a washer dryer, which they loved. It works great. And they added a UV water filtration system for drinking water that first filters the water through several stages, and then they zap it with UV light. So it makes it safe to drink out of your tanks. I generally don't drink out of tanks. I just drink bottled water, but I shower with the tank water and wash the dishes with it, and it seems to be fine. I haven't gotten sick. All right, we're in the stern area, and that is the engine access hatch, nice and watertight, along with your shower controls, hot and cold water, and swim ladder. They added this decking. It's not it's padded, and it actually cushions your feet somewhat, and I like them. And they're not too dark, so they don't burn the soles of your feet. And now here's Dave back here admiring the Yanmar 45 horse diesel. And what do you think of this engine setup?
Well, I'm a big fan of this particularly because you've got very good access to the sea strainer and to the fuel filter. If you're running underway and you start to have lack of water flow, you can get an overheat, but you can easily reach the strainer to empty it.
Nice.
And also, if you have a problem with fuel, you don't need to climb down into a hot engine compartment. You can easily change out a filter swap real easily.
Excellent.
So, excellent access.
All right, thank you. All right, here we are in the cockpit. We don't have the cushions out, but they have the type that are movable. So the Moorings Charter Company invented these, and you just take them where you want to use them. And they're easier to manage and keep clean than the kind that snap down and always get stained and ripped. So right over here, Dave is going to open up the propane locker. Got 2 tanks in there. And then, let's see, what do we have over here? This looks like deck storage. Oh, this is where the batteries were put in. And the contractor that installed these is supposed to be here to explain the system a little later, so we'll let him do that. And then, let's see what's in here. It's usually a life raft. And there we go. And other storage. And it has this nice backrest that can go that way, and then you have a seat for dinner, or you put it back and you can go fishing or watch the kids swimming or whatever you want to do. This is an AB dinghy with a 25 horse Yamaha. That will plane with probably 6 adults in this if you had to. And it's made of aluminum and got these, I think these are PVC tubes. The charter managers tell me that AB and Highfield are the 2 best dinghies that hold up the best. This one is in the shade underneath this solar panel array, so it will preserve the tubes longer. Now, if you don't have something like this shading your dinghy, you may want to get chaps. Those are just covers that go halfway around the tubes, and it'll extend the life of the tubes by double. This boat has a cockpit enclosure, and this is got this material that allows the wind to go through, but and the rain can get in there, but it kind of deflects the rain too. All right, so why don't we walk up here and just check out the helm station. Everything leads back here, so you can sail the boat from here. And I would usually roll all these things up to get good ventilation. But when we store the boat, we leave it closed up so that everything stays dry and the instrument covers are not exposed to the sun, because the sun will fade them over time. Got an electric winch over here. So it's push button sailing, and you got pretty good visibility of all the sides of the boat, but if you want a better view of the other side of the boat as you're docking, you have the masthead camera up there that sends the image here. So you can have a bird's eye view of that side of the boat when you're docking. Here we are on the foredeck, and we have a vinyl-coated reinforced trampoline. This is the best quality, and you can buy these replacements for any major brand. They're made here in Florida. I think Johnson Products makes them. And when I see this, I see quality. When I see that furler with the green drum on the bottom, that's a pro furl. 98% of the round-the-world racing yachts have pro furl because they're low maintenance. They last forever, and they're very, very strong. So you can reef the sail in 30 knots of wind, no problem. And then here's our bowsprit to place the downwind sail in. And they usually store that sail down below just to keep the sun from fading it. And Dave's going to open up this locker for us so we can see what's in here. Oh, well, there's a 6 kW Northern Lights generator, kind of a backup charge system, and you can run the air off of that, but he modified the system so that the air will run off of The batteries. We have one extra water tank, and actually, the owner told me, he said, well, if we had to do it all over again, we wouldn't add that because the water maker replenishes the water just fine. Now, one thing I really like about Leopards is they have a really deep anchor locker. It goes way, way down, and the anchor is deployed not in the bow of the boat, but right here in the front part of the bridge deck. And what that does is it reduces your pitching moment. You know, you want to keep the weight out of the end so that you don't pitch or hobby horse as much when you're sailing upwind. And this is one way that Leopard accomplishes that. And by having a very deep anchor locker where the chain can't pile up in a big ant pile, it won't jam up the windlass and break it like on other boats that are not designed as well. Leopard does a really good job idiot-proofing these boats. And the way they do it is, you know, they do 100,000 charter weeks a year. So they get a lot of feedback about what works, what doesn't work. And this is why they have a lot of improvements on them. Lagoons are the same way. They're used very much in charter and they get a lot of feedback. So all the bugs are worked out. This 44 has a forward cockpit and a nice big door so that when you're anchored, if it's blowing 10 knots out here, like you see, it's very light winds. If you're at anchor into the wind, this eyebrow and these side panels act like a big wind scoop, and it forces the wind through here. So 10 knots over here is going to be 15 knots going through there because of the Venturi effect. It's a great way to keep the boat cool in the mornings in the tropics when the wind hasn't had time to build. So we have some tables here with drink holders. It's a very, very pleasant place. Okay, so this is 1,465 watts of solar panels. And what do you think of this system? It looks like it's pretty good quality, don't you think? By the way, this is Neil Harris of Harris Marine. He does all kinds of installations. He can do anything on a boat.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so pretty much what we have here is a very decent and high quality arch installation. These arches, they usually run around $10,000 without the panels. And we have good quality solar panels. And you said they're about 1,500 watts total, 1,600 watts?
1465, yeah.
1465. So that makes a very decent solar bank, in my opinion.
And these batteries over here, these are lithium ion.
Yeah, they start lithium ion, the battle born, so they're the higher end lithium battery quality.
These aren't cheap, right?
They're not. No, they run about 3,000 a piece.
Right.
And they're sought after.
Do you see prices coming down on these things at all?
Not really.
Yeah, okay.
Not really. On the cheap Chinese ones, yes, but not on the IP rated marine batteries.
I see. Okay. And what do you need with this? You need some kind of regulators, right?
Yeah, so you have, besides the solar panels, you're going to have charge controllers, and you always want to have good quality charge controllers for the panels, because it's pointless to invest on panels if you don't have a good charge controller.
Right.
Typically, we do a lot of Victron charge controllers because they also have the modern things to them as like, for example, Bluetooth.
Yes.
So you can monitor the panels through your phone.
Beautiful.
With the app. So yeah.
That's nice.
They're the top brand.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Thank you. So what are we looking at right here?
Yeah, so this boat has a centralized monitoring system. And as you guys can see, you have shore power monitoring, solar panel, battery status as well.
Nice.
And it's pretty well cooked.
Very clean and easy to see.
It is, yeah.
Excellent.
Very user friendly.
Yes. And so I wonder what this draws. This is a Yeti.
Yeah.
I guess freezer.
Oh, that is a Yeti?
Yes, Yeti.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they use these in RVs a lot. And
Yeah.
I found that when you can get something that's made for the much wider, larger RV market, they get economies of scale, so the price is way cheaper than, yacht quality. So often find really good deals on the RV websites. What's this?
Yeah, so over here you have the, let's say, charging inverting station. You have the Victron Multi Plus 3000
Nice.
and all the MPPTs for the solar panels.
Excellent.
Everything
Okay.
professionally installed.
It looks really nice and clean. Very good. So Neil, tell me about Starlink. You've installed some of these systems, right?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's the new trend, and it requires minimum installation. It's pretty much plug and play.
Nice.
From opening up the box, and for what I understand, it is fairly inexpensive.
That is the RV version.
Correct.
Right. Which works near coastal.
Near coastal.
Right?
Yes.
Like what? 5 miles offshore? 10?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
okay.
has a few miles range.
Right.
Based on reports, it has been a good form of communication, and hasn't been there hasn't been any issues.
Yeah.
Now, offshore purpose, that's a different.
Can't use. Yeah, and that's a much higher price point too.
It is absolutely.
For that's for really super yachts and
Exactly.
big ships. Okay. Thank you. Here we are in the salon, and there's the electrical distribution panel, the fridge and freezer. Those are good quality European components. And here is the convertible dinette. You see you can lower the tabletop. It fits on a lip over there, and there are cushions made to perfectly fit in there and convert it to a double bunk. And there's your water maker controls, Seawater Pro. And the galley with these doors all open. You get a nice cooling breeze going through here with that nice big door. A great design. You know, the biggest complaint in the Caribbean charter business is that in the morning before the wind gets blowing, everybody's hot. So that's why they added that door. This is the port forward stateroom with a hatch with an ocean air system. And, well, I don't want to mess it up, but it has a screen if you push it that way, or it blocks out the light this way, or you can open it up all the way for max ventilation. Here's a hanging locker over here. A head with a semi-separate shower. You can put a curtain there and keep your stuff dry. And then here's the aft stateroom. We have it closed up just to kind of keep it cool while it's being stored. And another head and shower. And the other side is very similar. We'll just take a quick walk over there. This is the washer dryer by Black & Decker. So this is the laundry room. Oop. And the other aft stateroom. These are a little bit larger than the 4 staterooms. With its own head and shower. Okay, well, if you're ready to go off-grid, give us a call. This is still for sale.